Welcome to a special edition of Making the Rounds. In Caesars Atlantic City, we're getting ready for Saturday night's Bernard Hopkins, Sergey Kovalev light heavyweight unification fight. I'm joined by my special guest, Roy Jones Jr., future Hall of Famer. He'll be commentating on the fight on HBO. You have Oscar De La Hoya. He is a Hall of Famer, and he is Bernard Hopkins' promoter at Golden Boy Promotions. And guys, the first thing about the fight, it's a very exciting matchup. A lot of people are anticipating it. You have the old guy, Bernard, almost 50 years old, against a young, strong guy, Sergey Kovalev, been knocking everybody out. You guys have both been in the ring with Bernard Hopkins, Roy 2 times, Oscar once. Roy, let me get your take. Just when you heard this matchup, what was your first thought about what Bernard is doing here?
Well, my immediate thought was that if Bernard agreed to fight this young guy, Bernard has seen something that he thinks he can exploit. That's just the person Bernard is. He looks at guys. If he sees a weakness, he's going to go in after it. So obviously there's something he sees about Kovalev that he thinks he can exploit, and Saturday night we'll see if he's successful again at doing it.
Oscar, what about yourself? When you were contacted as the promoter to try to put this fight together, and Bernard said, "I want this guy," what was your thought? Were you thinking, why does he want to fight this guy?
Well, exactly what Roy was talking about is that Bernard Hopkins is so calculated in every decision that he makes. I'm sure he studied Kovalev for months already before he even made the decision of fighting him. He knows how he sits down. He knows what foot he puts first before he steps. I mean, that's what Bernard Hopkins does. You know, he studies you, he dissects you. Once the bell rings, he knows every single move you're gonna make. So obviously, like Roy said, there's something that he saw that he can exploit.
Now, one thing that I found very interesting about this matchup, being that Bernard is 49, and he's been the underdog many times before, and he pulled the upsets against people like Tito Trinidad and Kelly Pavlik. It's happened a number of times during his career. Antonio Tarver. The interesting thing about this fight, guys, is there's a poll that was taken of the boxing writers that's going to appear in the Fight Night program. They talked to 23 writers, myself included, and the split was amazing. You had 12 guys picking Bernard Hopkins and 11 guys picking Kovalev. I was a little surprised that Bernard was made the favorite. I'm wondering what your take is on that fact, and Oscar also. I mean, do you think that people just have that massive respect for Bernard, or they're just underestimating what Kovalev's capable of doing? Roy?
My take on that is, first of all, if you look at Kovalev, when you look at his opposition, who is true opposition on the other side of the coin? Who has he truly beat that was a bona fide fighter? Not one. Not one that we know, that we respect and say, oh, he was a great fighter. Kovalev took him apart. No, we haven't seen that. Bernard is the first true athlete, true fighter who can say, okay, now he is a legitimate bona fide fighter. We'll see what you do now. So with that being said, we never seen him run a race. So how can we go out and say, oh, he gonna beat this old man? No, we can't say that, because this ain't the same ordinary old man that we used to see. This is the wise, clever Bernard Hopkins, who we already know if he didn't figure out how to beat you last year, he ain't gonna fight you this year. So he already got a plan together before he even thought about it. Like Oscar said, he'd been ready 6 months ago, knowing whether he could or could not, or whether he would even have a chance of beating you.
Oscar? I mean, they said he was old in 01 when he fought Trinidad. He was 36. Now he's 49.
Exactly. And look, when I fought him, Bernard made me think that I can beat him. He made me feel as if, you know what, I'm taking on this guy that's 40 years old. How can I not beat him? That's the strategy, the psychological game that Bernard Hopkins knows how to play. Bernard Hopkins, he knows that he's in a dangerous fight, a dangerous puncher, yes, but there's something that he saw, that he figured out. And like Roy was saying, I mean, look, he figured this out 6 months ago, probably, before anybody was talking about it. Kovalev, yes, he's a strong fighter. He doesn't know how to take a step back. He relies on his punching power. Yes, he does have somewhat of an ability. When you take a look at fighters who come out of the Ukraine, who come out of fighters like Triple G, for instance, who have that style of relying on power, sometimes they lack a little bit of skill, let's say. Kovalev, no, he's a complete fighter. He can think. He's smart. He's pretty calculated with his punches, but his power, he relies too much on his power, and that can fall into Bernard Hopkins' hands. I think, look, Bernard, he is 49 years old, but like I've said before, I mean, he's only getting younger.
What I think would be the deciding factor, though, is, like he was saying, Kovalev is one of those guys who's not necessarily a dumb fighter. He's a very smart fighter. Now, because of his opposition, he's had to rely on his power because he's just knocking everybody out. but he hasn't had a person in there that could withstand the power. So why use boxing skills? The reason the writers pick like you said, 50-50 is because they don't know for a fact they can use boxing skills and win a fight with that after the power doesn't work.
I want to ask you guys one more thing. Oscar, I think you were 39 years old when you retired, and Bernard Hopkins is a decade older than you. Could you imagine still fighting at the highest level of the sport 10 years after when you retired after the Pacquiao fight?
No, and that's because of the lifestyle that one lives. You know, I didn't breathe, eat, sleep boxing. Not like Bernard Hopkins, not like Roy Jones Jr. I mean, there's certain fighters that, and maybe every fighter can probably have that longevity if you take care of yourself, if you know how to, you know, live right outside the ring. You know, I mean, inside the ring, he fights Saturday night and he'll be in the gym on Monday. That's just the type of athlete that these guys are, and so we have to respect it, we have to admire it, we have to look up to it, and just enjoy the show, because 49 years old, we'll probably never see another athlete compete at that highest level probably ever.
And Roy, I want to ask you one other thing. You were, for many years, you were the light heavyweight champ of the world, the pound-for-pound king. I mean, when you fought Bernard the first time, it was at 160. When you fought him the second time, obviously it was you were not at your best. But the Roy Jones at his best, how would you approach a dangerous puncher like Kovalev?
Well, you go out and give him the first 2 or 3 rounds just to let him feel like he's doing okay. You would find his power. Make sure he doesn't hit you with none of his power shots. You also have to establish a respect factor to make him understand that, yeah, you have power, but you're not the only one with power in a set of gloves on. We both have power, and we both have on the same size gloves, to be exact. And with that being said, now a fight can start. So after the first 3 rounds, I don't care what happens in the first 3 as long as I get my respect. We're going to start truly fighting in round 4.
There you guys have it. The breakdown on Bernard Hopkins and Sergey Kovalev from 2 experts, 2 of the best in the business. Roy Jones and Oscar De La Hoya, thank you for joining Making the Rounds. Tune into the ESPN.com boxing page throughout the weekend for coverage of this great fight.